Last night, Israeli government, Israeli cabinet approved a number of measures that are to be taken consistent with the goal of the government to stabilize the situation, to bring stability on the ground. Now, there are all kinds of comments made about what Israel has decided, but these are legitimate instruments of a democracy seeking to defend itself.
Behind me is an Arab East Jerusalem neighborhood which has coexisted opposite a Jewish neighborhood in peace for many decades. The Israeli police, due to the recent wave of terror attacks, has set up a temporary roadblock in order to protect Israel's population centers. This is only a temporary measure, as Israel government ministers have defended Israel's position of the right to self-defense.
If we want to try to understand where the current violence comes from, what's the source of the dissatisfaction, what sends young people out with butcher knives to attack Israelis, what is now universally accepted among all of us who observe this phenomenon is that it emanates from incitement, and particularly religious incitement. Incitement around the false accusation that Israel seeks to change the status quo on the Temple Mount. The messages are messages of violence. For example, no less than Mahmoud Abbas made the famous comment on September 16th of this year, "We welcome every drop of blood spilled in Jerusalem. They, Israelis, have no right to desecrate the Al-Aqsa Mosque with their filthy feet."
Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, as well as Palestinian media, have made accusations against Israel's security forces of executing children, such as one young teenage boy who's sitting actually recovering in hospital, not executed whatsoever. This boy, in fact, which Mahmoud Abbas does not mention, was actually a terrorist Arab teenager who attacked a young Jewish boy with a knife, stabbing him ruthlessly.
Ask yourself, what can explain the fact that several kids, even a 13 years boy, decide one morning to take a knife and to try to kill another 13 years boy? An overall analysis of the situation in the Middle East and the peace process? Of course not. This is about hatred. This is about indoctrination. This boy, like many others, was indoctrinated to hate the Jews, to kill the Jews, to get rid of the Jews by Hamas propaganda, by the Israeli Islamic movement propaganda, but on a daily basis by the Palestinian Authority education system, government-controlled TV, children program, and so on and so forth. This is the only explanation why Palestinian kids are dreaming about becoming martyrs, killing Jews. And although they were indoctrinated by the Palestinian Authority and Hamas and the Israeli Islamic movement, they were inspired. This massive use of knives, the attempt to kill, to cut throats, to behead Israeli civilians and policemen, but mostly civilians. They were inspired, of course, by also what they see in Syria and Iraq.
Here's Nabil Abu Rodena, a man who used to be an intermediary in all kinds of peace negotiations. And what does he say? He speaks about the Palestinian 13-year-old youth who attacked a 13-year-old Israeli child. And he calls it an execution when Israel defended the Israeli who came under attack.
The slogan, Itbach el Yahud, kill the Jews, knife the Jews, death to the Jews, in the name of Allah, in the name of defending Islam, in the name of defending the Al-Aqsa Mosque. This is not new. It's just a new wave of terrorism and violence. And this time, it's totally clear that the main tendency, that the main approach here is a religious approach, defending Islam against the enemy of the mosques, against the enemy of Islam, against the Jews.
Reporting from Jerusalem, this is Barry Segal for JNN News.